Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to be talking about MPLS or multi-protocol label switching. Now, before I get into a little bit about how this technology works and why we would want to use it, let's take a step back for a second. Let's talk about why we would need it. Imagine for a second that each one of these routers around the edge here represent a different site location. And as we were talking about in the previous video, the wide area network video, we need to be able to allow each individual local area network that's hanging off of each one of these routers the ability to get to one another, because we have users, we have data, we have servers, we have all these different things behind each one of these sites, and they need to be able to talk to one another. Now, 99.9% of the time, you're going to have an internet service provider, or ISP for short, that's going to provide you with some type of link to the outside world. A lot of times it's going to be the internet, or in some occasions, that ISP can provide you with an MPLS network. And so essentially what happens here is the service provider maintains a VPN, if you will, allowing your different sites to connect to one another. And so let's just say, for argument's sake, the IP space that we're going to use here is going to be 192.168.1.0. Let's say that over here it's going to be .2.0. We'll keep things consistent. .3.0, and this is going to be .4.0. So each router inside of your network would say, okay, if you're looking for, let's just say we're going to have a route that says if you're looking for 192.168.2.0, you need to go into the MPLS cloud, and the same thing with 3.0 and the same thing with 4.0. Anytime you're looking for any one of these routes, you need to go into the MPLS cloud. And then over here at site 2, you're going to have the same exact type of routing table. You're going to have, okay, if I want 1.0, .3.0, .4.0, go into the MPLS cloud. So you're going to have routing tables inside of your own network that point that traffic into your MPLS cloud, and then your internet service provider is going to do something rather special. If you really think about routing tables are long tables that live in your router, and every single time your router or your layer 3 switch gets traffic going to another subnet, it has to basically do a query against that routing table and say, okay, where do I need to go? Where's my next hop? So essentially, your route may say something like, okay, 192.168.2.0. The next hop is going to be the MPLS router. Let's just say that that's going to be 172.16.12.3, and then that router is going to have a route on his routing table that says, okay, if you're looking for 192.168.2.0, you need to go to 201.12.16.4, and then that router is going to have a route on his routing table, and so on and so on and so on. And so you can see that you would ultimately end up with a massive routing table of all these different networks, and it's really not proficient when you're using when you have all these different networks, when you're trying to send all this different network traffic. And so one of the beautiful things about MPLS is that it relies on label switching, and it eliminates the need for this long routing table. Not really eliminates the need for the routing table, but really eliminates the need to constantly look up the routing table, because what an MPLS network is going to do is it's going to pre-look up all of the different routes. It's going to essentially stage them, and it's going to assign a label to all of those different networks. Now, I'm not going to show you how an MPLS network works in this video. I do have another video out on YouTube if you want to get into the weeds. It's outside of the curriculum of a CCNA. It's outside of what you're going to do as a CCNA. But again, if you want to learn how to do it and you want to actually tinker with it, you're more than welcome to go watch that video. It's out there on the channel. But essentially what happens is, let's just say that we have a packet. And for the sake of this video, we'll just say that a packet represents the data that you're trying to send. So let's just say there's a server here in site 3. Here's, me or you over here in site 2, and we need to be able to get data off of that server or send data to that server. And this packet is that data, right? It's whatever Word document or anything that we're sending. Typically speaking, we would need to know all of the different routes through the ISP, but the ISP is going to put a label on it. And that label is going to get switched off with every router that it goes to. So for example, when we go to, let's just say router 1 here, that router 1 is going to get a very specific label assigned to it based on the router that it's coming from. And as it goes to its destination, this label is going to get changed every time it goes from router to router to router. And it's going to happen incredibly fast. And the router is essentially staging a routing table, and instead of having a route, it's going to assign a label. So that label is going to tell it where it's coming from, but also where it needs to go to, and it's going to happen incredibly fast, much faster than it would with a routing table. Now again, this is probably outside of the realm of what you're going to do as a CCNA, but it's very important that you understand the concept of an MPLS network. It's very important that you understand that you're going to have your routes pointing into that MPLS cloud, into that internet cloud that your ISP, AT&T, Verizon, whoever is providing for you. And then inside that cloud, the service provider is basically doing label switching, just like tags or anything else, to route your traffic properly and have it come out the other end or that other site that you're looking for. The MPLS network itself is not usually something that you're going to maintain, but you will have to understand and maintain those local routing tables that are inside your environment, inside to your router. So essentially everything in this dark box, you're not going to control. But these routes here, it's going to be very important that you understand that those routes are going to have to point into your MPLS cloud. So I hope this cleared things up for you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.